everybody. It is wonderful to see you today. I'm so glad that you're here. It's a beautiful day outside, although a little bit rainy, so we'll have to just see how that works out. However, I'm thrilled that you're here. Hey, Kathy. I'm not quite sure if my video is sideways or not. I can't quite tell. There's been a little bit of trouble with Facebook the last few days, so we'll just see how that turns out. So anyways, welcome. It's a beautiful day and it's a great Friday. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert and a Shiatsu massage therapist, and my specialty that I've really developed over the years is helping women who are in toxic situations. I'm sideways. Okay, well then let's move me so that I'm not sideways, right? Okay, let's try that. Perfect. So anyways, my life and really understanding how toxic relationships work and how to break out of toxic relationships. And so my genius is coaching women through those situations, change their marriage, or they can help their kid evolve, or they can make their life just the best that it can, especially if they're the ones who are feeling toxic inside of themselves. So that's my job. It's different from therapy in that coaching really stands next to you. It gets into your business a little bit. It not only holds space, but it also gives you the things which keep you moving forward, the things that keep you on track. And because I'm a massage therapist and a body-mind expert, I know exactly how the body works and how to make it feel as good as possible. That's my whole thing. Let's make life as pleasurable as possible. So we are talking about narcissism today, and we're talking about what not to do when a narcissist is nice to you. So one of the biggest traps, and we talked about it last night with Tara, my friend in Australia, on our live stream. One of the biggest challenges of having toxic people in your life is that they're not always toxic. You know, it's easy when someone is always toxic, always angry, always mean. You know, it's easy enough to say, no, I'm not going to go that way. I'm not going to do that. But narcissists and a lot of toxic people, they sort of swing. You know, they will have bad days and they will have good days. The thing that makes them toxic and narcissistic is when they're having bad days, they have really terrible relationship and social skills. They are, you know, they don't think about their effect on anybody else around them. So here's the challenge. When narcissists and toxic people are feeling good, they tend to make everybody around them feel amazing. It's called love bombing. It's where, you know, they'll bring in donuts, they'll go the extra mile, they'll bend over backwards, they'll do everything to bring you back to their side, to get that attachment, to get that connection again. You know, it's like a big mood swing. You know, when they're not doing well, everybody knows it. And when they are doing well, everybody knows it too. Because a lot of people who behave in a narcissistic or toxic way, they tend to be more sensitive. They tend to be more aware of what's going on around them, and they've got a lot of inner conflict. Maybe that's you. I mean, that was me for a long time. I had to behave in a way that was more toxic or more self-absorbed because I was working through a lot of trauma, because I was working through a lot of my internal pain and issues. So this is true of all toxic people, and it's true of most narcissists. They tend to be very sensitive, very aware, and so they know exactly what to say when they need to punch you in the gut, and they know exactly what to say when they need to win you over to their side. So here's the challenge. The challenge is when narcissists are nice to us, or it's very easy to fall back into that dream state, to fall into that state of, oh, they just had a bad day. It's okay. You know, maybe they'll get better. Oh, they just didn't know what they were doing. That's all right. Clearly, they're trying hard, and I guess I just need to get over it. You know, that's what tends to happen when narcissists or toxic people are nice to us. We want things to be good so bad that, you know, we're willing to fall underneath that spell and go back to our habits, which got us beat up in the first place. So when a narcissist isn't nice to you, or when a toxic person is nice to you, when they're nice to you, it's cause for you to be aware. It's cause for you to see them more clearly. You don't, you are grateful for the kindness that they're showing. You're not cynical, you're not, angry and mean and fighting back with them. But what you are is present and aware and looking through them. And those are great opportunities when they're feeling particularly nice or wanting to listen. Those are the times that you get to communicate better. So when a narcissist is nice to you, the natural, normal thing to do is to take a gigantic sigh of relief and want to hold on to that good experience for as long as possible. Like, okay, this is good. We got to ride the good wave. We got to make this work out. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to support this and it'll be wonderful. And then we get sort of lulled into a sense of, hey, maybe things have changed, until the next bad day that the narcissist or toxic person has. And then they punch you in the face again, and they punch you in the gut, and you're once again on the floor, in a complete mess. So when a narcissist is nice to you, one of the best things to do is to just stay present, see past the behavior to the person that they are. And they aren't evil. But it does mean that all that nastiness and all that anger and all of that insensitivity and all of that self-absorption is still there. It's still all there underneath the niceness. When I used to do Native American spirituality, I would go up to just north of Escanaba, a place called Rapid River. And it was a 5-hour drive. And it was a really wonderful experience for me to be in that state and be in that space. And when I would go there, one of the things that I was taught and that I learned was to love people past their behavior to who they were, and not pretend that there's somebody else, not think that there's somebody else. They're not suddenly going to be that wonderful person that you always wanted them to be. Underneath the surface is still all of that anger and all of that hurt that's going to come out at any time. So when a narcissist is being nice to you, don't fall back into that trap of, oh, maybe it was an anomaly, or maybe it was a bad day. Use it as an opportunity to see them clearly. Yes, when you ride we tend to get into this mindset, Chanel says, of where we try to ride the good wave while it lasts, but we're always waiting. We're always looking around for when the shoe's going to drop. That's a hard way to live. But when you see them clearly, when you're not being pushed and pulled by the narcissist's own emotions, when you're looking past their behavior, then you're able to say, okay, this is the upswing. I wonder when the downswing is going to happen and how I'm going to handle this. So the best thing you can do when the love bombing starts and when the kindness and wonderfulness washes over you, when they bring you the donuts, when they apologize for their bad behavior, is not to fall back into that sense of complacency. Not to be on edge all the time, but to be like, okay, this is the natural ebb and flow that happens. This is just what happens. So let's follow it. This is good. I'm not going to be freaked out about it, but I'm also going to know that it could turn bad when something goes wrong very suddenly. And so you don't really, it's not about not letting your guard down, but it's about setting good boundaries. You keep an eye out for when the energy is going to shift, and you know exactly what you're going to do when the energy shifts. When you watch that energy shift, you set the boundary, and you say, you know what, I'm not willing to experience this again, and so right now you're on your own. And so you don't have to endure the whole roller coaster ride that goes on. You actually get to experience and enjoy when they're in a good space without ever forgetting that, they'll have a bad space again too, soon. You can't think that it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be both. So when I was up in Escanaba, one of the challenges that I had is that there was a woman that I really respected, but she still had a lot of things she had to work through. And she would say to me that she could look at somebody and know if they were lying or not. And for me, because I had grown up with, some personality challenges because I was so compartmentalized from the trauma and the stress that I'd grown up with, I had all of these different compartments of me. And so what I was showing to people was true, and what I was feeling inside was true. They were both true. Now, most people, most humans, we look at somebody, and if the energy doesn't match, how they're presenting themselves, we look at them and we say that they're a liar, that they're no good, that it's not true, because there's a conflict. I want you to expand your mind a little bit, and I want you to think about how they're both true. The narcissistic, toxic, angry, mean behavior is true, and the loving, sensitive, kind, thoughtful, amazing person is true. They're both in there. And so your job, if you do love a narcissist, or you do have them in your life and you want them to be in your life, is to see both truths and to accept both truths and try to bring out that goodness and that kindness when you can, and to not tolerate the insensitivity and the unkindness and the pain that they bring when they aren't in that space. So narcissist isn't good or bad. They're both. They're not liars. They're people who are struggling with a lot of inner conflict. And as a good, stable, balanced person, what you can do is see and embrace both. And when you help teach people how to treat you, the good behavior gets lots of rewards and kindness and compassion, and the bad behavior gets no response. The bad behavior and the angry and the selfishness and the accusing, it gets no response. You walk out, you set the boundary, and you say, when you're feeling better, that's when you need to come contact me. That's when you need to engage with me. And that's the boundary that you set for yourself. You say, I'm not willing to put up with this. So instead of going on the roller coaster and being like, when's everything going to change? Oh my God, let's just try to be in the good space and maybe it'll be okay. That comes from a really anxiety place, which a lot of times then triggers the narcissist. If you think of somebody that's a little bit out of control of their inner world, then your energy, your behavior guides and can also trigger them. So when you are in that space of fear and anger, just like, predators can sense prey. There's this great thing about how predator cats, like lions and leopards, they can smell vegetarians. They can smell people who only eat vegetables. They know who the prey is. So when you're in that anxious space, when you don't feel good, you're prey. You've got a big sign on your back. You smell like prey. You look like prey. And that brings out the bully in people. I always had to be a little bit careful with some of the people that I loved, because that bully would come out in me. That one that was intolerant and insensitive, that would come out of me. Because I didn't have any patience for, somebody who was going to be wiggling around like, a worm on the end of a hook. So look at someone who's narcissistic or toxic as a whole person, as have multiple sides of them. And when things are good, enjoy the goodness, but also accept the fact that there's all of this other darkness and dysfunction that's underneath the surface. And don't be scared of it. Because you get to have boundaries. You get to walk out. You get to leave. You get to call an Uber. You get to give somebody some space. You get to not respond to the text. You get to do all of those things. And you let that wave ride past too. Because everybody's an adult. They get to figure out how they want to handle this. And when they don't get the response that they're looking for, when they don't get, they don't get you hooked in by their bad behavior, then they're seriously encouraged to get you hooked in by their good behavior. And that's what we want, right? We want people to treat us with dignity and love and respect. And narcissists actually, if anybody's really had some experiences with them, know that they are geniuses at making other people feel good. They know exactly what will push the exact right buttons, and they know exactly what will make them feel bad too. So instead of being polarized about it, are they good, are they bad, realize that they're both. And when they're being nice to you, See past it, realize there's that darkness and dysfunction underneath there. Don't encourage it. Encourage the good behavior. Encourage that love and that kindness. And when someone exhibits that bad behavior, don't tolerate it. And I know that's easy to say because we end up in situations which are really emotionally charged and we feel trapped and stuck and like we don't have any choices and like we're looking for ways to manipulate the situation or make them feel better or make them feel good or put the control back in our hands. You know what? We can't make narcissists or toxic people feel good. We really can't. Not from that place of fight or flight, not from that place of anxiety, because they're going to feel that energy and that's going to bring out that predator. It's going to bring out that bully in them. When you feel really confident and strong that no matter what happens, when they when they come into your life and they're good and they come into your life and they're bad, you still see them clearly. And that can be unconditional love, which is kind of what we're all sort of reaching for. That ability to see people and love them irregardless of how they behave. Because we know on our side, on our hand, that we're not going to let them treat us a certain way. We're not going to let them be in that bad mood. And so you start to get more and more good waves because that person starts to learn over time that you're not the one for them to take this energy out on and that maybe there's a better way to do it, okay? So the next time that a narcissist, you can feel the energy, the next time that they're coming in and love bombing you and being kind to you and winning you back over to their side, don't necessarily be in that angry, cynical, or fearful place. Say, they're in an upswing. Interesting, very cool. Let's appreciate it and enjoy it while we can, always knowing that, yes, it can switch pretty quick. And when it switches, this is how I'm going to handle it. So here's your homework assignment, okay? I want you to go to the toxic person or the narcissistic that's in your world, and I want you to approach them. And as you're approaching them, you don't even have to talk to them. Maybe it's in a hallway or maybe it's passing by them in the living room, or maybe it's just stopping by for a little bit. But what I want you to do is as you're walking their way, sense the energy. I want you to sense how it feels. Tune in and read into, let's say, how they might be feeling. And if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, like their energy is angry and toxic and frustrated, respect yourself. Say, okay, they're in a bad space. I'm going to let them be in a bad space. This is how it's going to work, you know? Or if they're in a good space, if you can feel the energy that's calmer, be like, hey, they're in an upswing. They're in a good space. I wonder how we can enjoy this time together. I wonder how we can make this workable, okay? So instead of feeling like you're being victimized and instead of feeling like you're helpless and trapped, I want you to practice feeling the energy. And when the energy feels good, go in like you would to a normal predator. I mean, you wouldn't stick your arm in the mouth of an alligator unless you're trained, unless you know what you're doing, you know, unless you're practiced with it, unless you read the energy first. So I want you to practice reading the energy, okay? Now, if you're feeling stuck, yes, Chanel says compliment their good space while they're in it. Absolutely. You know, I have a friend who does dog training. And I'm not saying people are dogs, not in the least, but there's a lot of psychology similarities. And she does dog training for dogs who do search and rescue. It's pretty awesome. And when the dog does something that's really wonderful, she goes over the top with praise. She goes over the top with appreciation and love and value. Now, you can't go over the top with a narcissist because they'll sense it and be like, what's going on? You know, and that'll bring stuff out. But you have to realize that when they're in a good space, enjoy it, appreciate it, acknowledge it, celebrate it, you know, make it something that they crave. Make it something that they want from you. Because what they want is your love and attention and kindness and connection and compassion. They don't want to feel isolated and alone. So when they're in a good space, don't punish them. Don't be like, oh, you're in a good space, so now I'm going to bring all the crap that you've been saying to me and I'm going to punch you in the face with it. Or don't be in the space of, oh my God, when are they going to change any second, any time, and walking on eggshells. Don't do either one of them. Just sense the energy, make your choice for yourself. When they're in a good space, enjoy it and support it and appreciate it and encourage it and acknowledge it. And when they're in a bad space, don't give them that energy. Don't acknowledge it. don't engage. Don't feel like you need to fight back, because you're not going to win, because they're meaner than you are. Okay? They're meaner than you've ever wanted to be. They're meaner than you're willing to be, okay? So you can't fight back with them. Instead, you decide for yourself the experience that you want to have and how you want to interact with them. If the energy is good, interact with them in a little bit more intimate and vulnerable place so that they feel that connection, they feel that love. And when they're in a bad space, don't give them that energy. Don't give them somebody to victimize and bully, because they're looking for it. It's on their radar. And if you're going to walk into their space, you're going to be the one that they punch in the face, because you're the one that takes it and walked in. Okay? So if you're feeling stuck and you want some coaching around it, let me know. I do coaching packages that help women make big changes in just a few months, so that you learn how to work through and navigate whatever toxic situation that you're in. And many times the women, after they've been working with me, they're able to change their jobs. They're able to change their relationship, either improve it or leave it. They're able to start good relationships from a great foundation of strength and trust in themselves, so that the other person can rise up to the expectations and to the bar that we hold for them. Because when we hold high expectations for people, just like when they're children, I used to teach kindergarten, so this was a big deal for me. When we have good and high expectations for children, they tend to reach for it. And a lot of people have a lot of evolution to do, especially narcissists. They're usually stuck in, like 9, 10, 12 years old. They're still stuck in that melodrama, okay? So we need to have higher expectations for them and hold them to it. Now, if you want some help doing this is different from psychotherapy. Psychotherapy tends to be where a healer, like a therapist, holds a space for you to really go through, the deep sort of healing work that you need to do, okay? Coach is a little bit different. Coach says, you're a normal person with normal problems. It's totally fixable, it's totally doable, and here's a way to do it. I'm going to help support you through it, and I'm actually one of the best supports because I'm such a pleasure junkie. So I can tell you all the ways to feel good and to change your thoughts and your beliefs in a way that doesn't require a lot of drama and struggle on your part, okay? I know all the favorite ways to do it because I'm all about how do we feel good. Okay, so don't forget your homework assignment. I want you to sense the energy before you engage or before you choose to engage, and decide even before you walk in the door how you're going to interact with this person. And then you can do it as a test, right? You walk in, you feel the energy, you're like, this is how I'm going to approach it. And then if it doesn't work, you are not in a fight or flight space because you expected that it might not work, right? And so you're able to say, oh, this didn't work. This isn't quite the right time. I'll try this again later. You're coming at it from a grounded, conscious, aware, almost like an experiment, okay? You're not waiting for somebody else to punch you. Instead, you're taking the initiative, you're walking in, you're feeling the energy and deciding how you want to handle it. And sometimes how you might want to handle it may be dramatic. It may be, what, this time I'm going to make a point. This time I'm going to let them see, deeply how I feel. This time is how I'm going to, let this show. But it's on your terms. It's not on their terms now. Now it's you deciding what you're going to show, when you're going to show it, how you're going to show it. It's you determining your reaction instead of waiting for somebody else to trigger you into a reaction. Way different mindset, way different paradigm to live with. Okay? So it's pretty cool stuff. We have another live stream on Monday. I believe that one, if I recall correctly, is my sister. And my sister is a specialist in brain gym. She's a specialist in taking all those parts and pieces of your brain and all those parts and pieces of your body and integrating it. And boy, does she have some experience with narcissists. Oh my God. She has some experience with narcissists. And it's how she ended up in this healing profession in the first place. Because she was able to understand how it's those separated, almost like those lost parts and pieces of our heart and our soul and our mind, that when we bring them together into a whole, and there's a way that we bring them together physically, that we're able to not act from just that little part and piece. We're able to act from our whole self, from that grounded higher version of herself. Okay, so that's going to be Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Her and I are going to hang out on a live stream. It's going to be awesome and fun and great, and I hope you can make it. And I look forward to seeing you then. Okay,